I want to talk thylacine for a little bit.
Sure.
All right.
I assume that's the noise a thylacine made. Is that right? Accurate?
Do you have new audio bites? Is this going to be a thing all podcast?
Maybe they sounded like a hyena. I don't know.
It's new audio bites. Okay.
No, they hiss. They hissed the thylacine, didn't they?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep, that's what they
But
do.
okay, so I was reading an article because you had talked about the Papua New Guinea theory, and so I just wanted to read about it as up, drinking alone last night. So I came across this article about sort of this island that's I think on the Indonesia side of the Wallace Line called Irian Jaya.
Uh-huh.
And this is this really unexplored island where they had fossil evidence, or they found a jawbone to show that the thylacine had once lived there. But there is this cool thing where there are some there's some native villages there where they talk about this sort of canine type creature with a giant mouth, which I didn't know. There's a little bit of the sort of local lore kind of thing. Was this one of the sort of reasons that you had originally thought if we got a third season of Extinct or Alive that maybe we'd go to either New Guinea or Irian Jaya?
It's yes and no. So at one point in time, thylacine, and we know this, and there are multiple subspecies of thylacine, by the way. The largest one, which name I'm blanking on right now, but it's like Thylacine, I can't remember the Latin name because I'm on the spot, but there are multiple subspecies of thylacine, right? The largest one ranged in Papua New Guinea. But regardless, at one point in time, thylacine ranged from New Guinea, not just Papua New Guinea, but New Guinea is, it's two countries put together. It's West Papua and Papua New Guinea, the Indonesian side and Papua New Guinea. Australia and Tasmania, all the way down. And that's a huge geographical area. I think a lot of people don't realize how big just Australia is. And now you're adding in two other countries. It's funny because if you look on a map, especially of Papua New Guinea, if you pull this up, anybody that's listening to this, and just look at the roads in Papua New Guinea. There's 3 in the whole country. And if you look in West Papua, there's 0. The whole center of the country doesn't have a road. Anyway, the reason that it's so fascinating is what happened was there were thylacine all the way down, PNG, Australia, Tasmania. Then humans came over around 4,000 years ago. And with them, when they settled these regions, they brought with them from Asia side, they brought with them dogs, dingoes. And so a lot of people don't know this, but dingoes are actually not a native animal to Australia, right? This is an animal that was introduced by people about 4,000 years ago. And the dingoes primarily outcompeted the thylacine. Now the reason that, look at that. So zoom in. Mm-hmm. Sorry, if you're listening on audio and not watching on YouTube, we're looking at a map of PNG. Those are the only roads in the country. Right? And if you think about the size of the country,
amazing.
Now zoom out, crazy. Peter, and go over to West Papua. Just scroll left, and you'll see there's none. That's it in PNG, and West Papua has nothing. It's wild, and there's villages all throughout it. And we'll circle back. I'm going a very long-winded way of answering Patrick's question, but
no, it's cool. It's interesting. So
there were thylacine all the way. People came over from Indonesia side, from the Asian side, 4,000 years ago, brought with them dogs, hunting dogs, which are basically dingoes. They got out, they roamed around, and the dingoes, as traditional mammals and not marsupial carnivores, were better predators than thylacine. So they outcompeted them in most of their range. Now, that works for a couple of reasons and doesn't work for a couple of reasons with regards to the thylacine theory. Dingoes are like a plains animal. They like open, spacey areas. They're not a heavy jungle area. Well, most of Papua New Guinea is a heavy jungle area, right? And different species, as I said, of thylacine would be affected differently by dingoes. The largest of which, and I'll figure out the name of it. This is
there were 7 subspecies. One that was as small as a house cat, and then up to the biggest one, which is the size of a dog.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't have the name of it though.
Yeah,
but I also, once you're done with this, I have an amazing bombshell for you.
Okay.
I saw
him smirking, and I was like,
I saw him smirking too, and I was curious. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that we are mentioned in a new book about thylacine.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh my God.
It's
just
Thylacine
fantastic.
potens was the largest one, Potns, and somewhere See if I can find it. Like, here's a pretty good graphic if you're looking for like the different sizes compared to human beings.
Oh yeah, that big one is stout too.
Exactly.
It's like a big pit bull.
Exactly. And Potenis was the one that was in Papua New Guinea. So it was the largest. So it had the best chance of competing with dingoes. While there are dingoes and singing dogs and things like that in Papua New Guinea, they prefer different habitat to what thylacine preferred traditionally. Now, that sort of leads to the idea that thylacine could still be living if unaffected by dingo in certain region and different species and so on and so forth. So that's a very broad strokes way of looking at it. That also very definitively explains why thylacine existed in Tasmania up until very recently, where they were driven to extinction in mainland Australia 4,000 years ago, because dingoes got into Australia and dingoes were never introduced into Tasmania, which is what allowed thylacine to continue down there. So they are a delicate animal, and as long as they were geographically isolated from people, geographically isolated from dingoes, whether that's in Papua New Guinea, West Papua, Australia, parts of Tasmania, they could continue to exist.